right, the jury is present. We continue with the state's case. The state may call its next witness.
State will call Wayne Walker with the Indian River Crime Laboratory.
If you can go forward, raise your right hand, face the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm that evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you could, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My full name is Wayne Austin Walker Jr. My first name is spelled W-A-Y-N-E, and my last name is W-A-L-K-E-R.
All right, and how is it that you're employed?
I'm a criminalist in the biology section at the Indian River Crime Lab.
And how long have you been working with the Indian River Crime Laboratory?
Since October of 2014.
All right, what is your specific job title?
I'm a criminalist in the biology section.
Criminalist. So what does a criminalist do?
So I examine items of evidence for biological material, such as blood, semen, and saliva. I then try to develop a DNA profile from unknown evidence samples. And if I am able to develop a DNA profile from that unknown evidence, I'll do a comparison to any known standards that I have, and I'll perform statistical analysis to determine how common or rare that unknown profile is. And then I write a report and testify when needed.
All right, now, prior to being able to do this type of analysis, I assume you have to have some training and a certain education?
Yes, I do.
If you could tell the jury about your background as far as your education and then your training leading up to you doing this job.
From the University of Central Florida, I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in forensic biochemistry, along with minors in chemistry and micromolecular biology. And from the University of South Florida, I have a Master's of Science degree in medical science with a concentration in health science. I started my career at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement at the Orlando Regional Operations Center. I started as a forensic technologist in the biology section. Basically, it's an entry-level science position. I helped clean the lab, make chemicals, do some maintenance on some instruments. After about a year and a half, I was promoted to a crime laboratory analyst in the biology section, at which point I went through about a year and a half training program. It's divided into two phases. The first phase deals with readings and working on practice samples, and the readings are about the techniques used in DNA analysis as well as statistical methods used in DNA analysis. I then work practice samples. At the completion of the first phase, the second phase is supervised casework. So I started working actual cases under the direction of an already trained analyst. I was an analyst, caseworking analyst at FDLE for about 4 years before coming to the Indian River Crime Lab, at which point it was about a 6-month training program. I kind of say I used to work at McDonald's, now I work at Burger King. One makes Whoppers, the other makes Big Macs, but it's really just burgers and fries. So both labs are doing the same thing. Some things are a little different, and that's what the 6 month of training was about at Indian River Crime Lab.
All right, now as far as the Indian River Crime Lab, is that certified?
It's an accredited laboratory, yes.
All right, and do you have to continue to have training periodically to able to keep doing what you do for your living?
Yes, I am required to have at least 8 hours of continuing education each year.
All right. And have you ever testified previously in court?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
Roughly 60 times.
All right. Now, can you, I guess, explain the difference to the jury between what is called, you referred to an unknown standard or an unknown sample versus a known standard?
So when you have DNA, there's no name. It's really what it looks like is peaks on a graph. So when you get evidence from an unknown source, you just have these peaks on a graph. It doesn't tell you whose this is. So what we'll do is after we determine what we can interpret, I'll then compare it to a known standard, which usually comes in the form of an oral swab or a blood stain card or a blood swab from an individual. And that way I know what is this person's profile, what are the peaks that I would see. and I can use that to compare to the unknown profile from the evidence.
All right, and can you just explain the physical process of how you do a DNA? I guess, how does a typical case where you get some swabs or a sample in the lab, how does that work? What do you do?
So for the very first thing that I'll do when I get evidence is I make sure that the packaging is properly labeled and is sealed. The packaging is sealed, it's properly labeled. I'll do whatever testing may be required, what's called the serology or body fluid identification. And then I'll take samples on for DNA analysis. And the DNA analysis, the first step is called extraction. And this is basically adding some chemicals and heat and just trying to break open the cells to get to the DNA. The second step is called quantitation. So I actually want to know how much DNA is present in my sample, because how much DNA I have can affect my later processes. So I kind of think, I like to use a lot of analogies. And this is sort of like orange juice concentrate. You don't just drink straight orange juice concentrate, you have to dilute it out. And the same thing happens with DNA. If I have too much DNA, that can affect my later processes. So I may have to make a dilution of that sample. On the flip side, if I have not a lot of DNA, if I don't get very good results, well, I know why I didn't get good results. There wasn't a lot of DNA to be processed. So it's also a good quality control measure. The next step is called amplification. And I actually don't look at all of an individual's DNA. We only look at 21 specific areas, and we make billions of copies of those 21 specific areas. This DNA is then, these copies of the DNA are then put on an instrument that separates it based off size. And this is represented graphically. These are the peaks on the graph I mentioned earlier. So it's these peaks on a graph that I will use to interpret.
All right, now as far as you use this term DNA, what is DNA?
DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's the genetic blueprint that makes up all life. Humans actually have 2 copies of DNA. You get 1 copy from your mother, you get 1 copy from your father. This is determined at conception, and it remains the same your entire life. And all the cells of your body have the same DNA. So whether it's your blood or your skin cells or the inside of your mouth, all of those cells have the same DNA profile, and no 2 individuals have the same DNA profile except for identical twins.
All right, so my DNA is my DNA alone. Nobody else has the same DNA. I don't have an identical twin, so no one else has the same DNA that I would have.
That's correct.
All right. So I want to talk about some of the evidence that you received in this case. Is one of the things that you can do at the crime laboratory is determine paternity, or who the father is of a child?
Yes, we do paternity testing for criminal cases.
Okay, and were you asked to do some paternity testing in this particular case?
Yes, I was.
All right, so what I want to do is, before I show you any exhibits, how do you determine paternity? What do you need from the sheriff's office or from law enforcement to be able to do that analysis? What is required?
So first there'll be from the child, because I need their DNA profile, the mother, and again, so remember when I talked about DNA, humans have 2 copies, 1 comes from the mother. So from that child, if I know what the mother's DNA profile is, I can subtract out her DNA, and what I'm left over is what's obligate DNA from the father. The father has to have these peaks. So then I need standards from individuals who are the alleged father to do a comparison. And then if I cannot exclude that alleged father, I'll perform statistical analysis to give some weight to that person's inclusion as a possible alleged father.
All right, so in this particular case then, did you, and these have already been entered into evidence, States Exhibits
9 and 144. States Exhibit 9 is the blood standard of Josiah Wise. And then States Exhibit 144 would be the blood standard of Tania Wise. Can you take a look at those and let me know if you recognize those exhibits?
Yes, I do.
How is it that you recognize them?
So on both of the exhibits, there is a barcode sticker from the Indian River Crime Lab that has the Indian River Crime Lab case number and exhibit number. And then it's covered up with a sticker here, but you can see it more clearly here. I hand wrote the Indian River Crime Lab case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. So were you able to get a DNA profile for each of those 2 standards?
Yes, I was.
All right, so those would be the mother and the child. What is missing for you to then determine whether or not someone's the father?
Standard from an alleged father.
All right, and did you receive additional standards in this case from some males?
Yes, I did.
And what I'd like to do is provide you with State's Exhibit 8, which is the DNA standard of Eric Alvarez. State's Exhibit 162, the DNA standard of Mark Burke. State's Exhibit 163, the DNA standard of Giovanni Alvarado. And then State's Exhibit 164, the DNA standard of Bradley Rodriguez. Mr. Walker, do you recognize those exhibits?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize them?
So again, each of them I'll put up two at a time. They have the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the Indian River Crime Lab case number and exhibit number. And then I hand wrote, and I'll put the other two, I hand wrote the Indian River Crime Lab case number, exhibit numbers, the date I examined these, and my initials.
All right, and were you able to get a standard DNA profile for each of those individuals we just listed?
Yes, I was.
All right, and then did you do a comparison to the previously referenced standard of Josiah Wise, the baby, and the victim, Tania Wise, to see if any of those individuals could be the father of Josiah Wise?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what were the results of that analysis?
So the DNA profiles from the child, baby Wise, and the mother, Tania Wise, were compared with that with these alleged fathers, and these individuals are not consistent with having the DNA profile of that required to be a child's biological father.
Okay, can you confidently say that?
Yes.
Okay, how can you say that?
The obligate markers that are needed, these individuals, maybe there might be some sharing, but they don't have, there are places where they are missing an obligate that needs to be present. So they would be excluded as the alleged father.
All right, now I'd like to show you what's been marked for entered into evidence. State's Exhibit 161. This is the DNA swab of Jose Soto-Escalera. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize that?
It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode with the case number and exhibit number. And then I handwrote, again, it's covered, but I handwrote the Indian River Crime Lab case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials would be under that sticker.
All right, and were you able to get a complete male DNA profile from that standard?
Yes, I was.
All right, and did you compare that standard to those previously analyzed of baby Wise and Tania Wise?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to reach a conclusion as to whether or not the defendant in this case, Jose Soto-Escalera, is the biological father of Josiah Wise?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and what was your conclusion?
So the DNA profiles from the child, baby Wise, and the mother, Tania Wise, were compared with that of the alleged father, Jose Soto-Escalera. The DNA profile from Jose Soto-Escalera is consistent with that required of the child's biological father. And now I'm going to read two stats that give statistical weight to that statement. The first is what's called the parentage index, and this is an odds ratio that determines how much more likely the alleged parent is to be the biological parent than an unknown random individual, and the parentage index is approximately 241 trillion. The next stat is called the probability of parentage. This is the chance that the alleged parent is the biological parent when compared to a random individual, and this is approximately 99.9999999999.
Is that 10 nines?
Yes, it is.
So
99.109.
Percent,
Yeah, percent.
that he's the father of the child?
Yes.
In addition to those standards, did you also receive swabs from evidence in this case?
Yes, I did.
All right.
What is StarMix?
StarMix?
Yeah.
So StarMix is a software program. It's called Probabilistic Genotyping Software Program. And StarMix, it's a tool that's used to help interpret data for DNA analysts. It uses biological modeling, probability theory, statistical theory, and computer algorithms to help infer the DNA profiles that would explain the unknown profile that I have.
I want to ask you about some items of evidence that you've received in this particular case. The first one I want to show you is State's Exhibit 7.
Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how do you recognize that?
It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the crime lab case number, exhibit number, the date I examined this, and my initials.
All right, for the record, you're looking at State's Exhibit 7, which is a DNA swab from a flashlight. Were you able to, I guess, what do you do when you get that swab in the lab, and what happened after you did your examination? And I believe for you, the number 295781.
So what I did with this exhibit is I tested it for DNA. I took a cutting, put that in a tube, and then performed the DNA analysis method on it.
And did you find any DNA on that item?
Yes, I did.
All right, and did you compare it then to the profiles? Well, I guess, did you find a major contributor or a minor contributor?
So my results of what I got was a DNA profile obtained from the swabs of the flashlight was consistent with being a mixture of a major and a minor component. A male DNA profile was obtained from the major component of this mixture at 15 locations. Results at the remaining 6 locations were inconclusive due to insufficient DNA quality and/or quantity.
So did you compare the major contributor, the DNA profile that you found, to the males that we previously referenced?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and did it match any of them?
They were all excluded as a contributor to the major profile.
All right, so there you found, to summarize State's Exhibit 7, found some male DNA is on it, it's present, but it doesn't match Mark Burke, Giovanni Alvarado, Eric Alvarado, Bradley Rodriguez, or the defendant.
That's correct.
All right.
State's Exhibit 160, hair from Nike shoe. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize that one?
It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. I hand wrote the Crime Lab case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, and based on your examination of that item, what came of it?
So for hair, I do an examination of the root end of a hair. Hair probably is the thing that is most, there's a lot of misinformation from TV and things like that. A lot of hair falls out naturally, and you can't get nuclear DNA, the type of DNA testing I do, from the hair. The hairs that we need to get DNA from have to actually be pulled from the head, so there's some skin material. So I looked at the root end of the hair that was on this, and it was found to be eligible for nuclear DNA analysis. But when I did my testing, it was subjected to DNA extraction procedures, but it failed to yield sufficient STR DNA. So basically what that means is this hair, when I looked under a microscope, it was good enough to at least try, but when I did the DNA process, there's no DNA on this sample.
So you can't do anything with it, because there was no DNA.
There's no nuclear DNA.
All right. And then I want to ask you the same questions for some additional items. These are all involved. It's State's Exhibit 22, hair from left hand. State's 23, hair left thigh. State's 24, hair left waist. State's Exhibit 25, hair left side. State's Exhibit 26, hair from inside back of blue underwear. And then 27, hair from back of gray and blue underwear. Do you recognize those items?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize them?
So it's under this green card, but each of them has the crime lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I can see my handwritten I hand wrote the case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
And the analysis that you just described in reference to hair, did you also perform that same analysis for each of those exhibits?
Yes, I did. I examined them microscopically.
And what were your conclusions? Were you able to get any nuclear, DNA for examination?
So I didn't even try. These were, after looking at a microscope, they were unsuitable for nuclear DNA analysis.
Okay, and what do you see that makes it unsuitable?
The hair, when it's unsuitable, it'll kind of have like a baseball bat shape. And that is because the hair is actually coming out of the follicle. So it detaches itself from the follicle. So it starts to shorten and becomes bulbous. And there's no, what I can see under a microscope of looking like skin, we call it a follicular tag. So no skin or anything like that on there. So if it's just this kind of looks like a bulb, baseball bat, some people call it like a light bulb, then it's not even, I'm not going to attempt nuclear DNA analysis. I probably won't get anything.
All right. Now I want to ask you about some items that have already been entered into evidence. These are swabs from the victim. We have State's Exhibit 11, DNA swabbing from left-hand fingernail. States 12, DNA swabbing from right-hand fingernail. 13, fingernail scraping left ring. 14, fingernail scraping right thumb. States 15, fingernail scraping right middle. 16, DNA swabbing from left breast. And 17, DNA swabbing from right breast. Same questions as before. Do you recognize them? How do you recognize them?
So I do recognize them. Again, it's probably the best. They each have the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number, exhibit number, and then I've handwritten the case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. And for all of the victim swabs, did you perform an examination?
Yes, I did.
Did you find any DNA that was foreign to the victim on those items?
So I did additional testing on some of the items first, which is I tested them a presumptive test for blood. So the swabs from the left-hand fingernails, the swabs from the right-hand fingernails, and the swabs from the right breast, they tested positive chemically, indicating the presence of blood. I then did DNA analysis, and for all of these exhibits, the results were there were no DNA results foreign to Tania Wise were found on these following exhibits.
All right. But some of them did have blood present.
They did not.
They did not have blood present.
Or they did not have a red-brown staining that would give me an idea to look for blood, to do my testing for blood.
All right. Now I want to ask you about
State's Exhibit 18 has been entered. It's the vaginal swab from the sexual assault kit that's already been entered into evidence. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
how do you recognize it?
So this item came from a larger package that would have the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker. So this was inside, but I still handwrite the exhibit number, the case number, the date I examined it, and my initials, and those are present on here.
All right. And what analysis, do you do anything different or a different chemical test for this because it's a vaginal swab from a sexual assault kit?
Yes, so for the vaginal swabs, they tested negative chemically and microscopically for the presence of seminal fluid.
All right, so once you know that result, do you go any further with that?
Yes, so just because there's not semen, there could have been perhaps oral assault or digital penetration, so there could be DNA foreign to the victim on this sample anyway. Every time someone has sex, it doesn't mean they ejaculate it. So I did DNA analysis on this sample, and the vaginal swabs were subjected to DNA extraction procedures, but they failed to yield sufficient male DNA for STR analysis. No further analysis was performed on this exhibit.
All right, so based on the results that you got at the crime lab, you couldn't do any further analysis.
That's correct.
like to show you what's been marked for or it's already been entered into evidence, State's Exhibit 33. This is the swabbing of the rear passenger door pull of the Dodge Ram truck. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
So it has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the exhibit number and case number. And then I hand wrote the crime lab's case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, did you perform the same DNA analysis on that item?
Yes, I did.
And what were the results of your examination?
Oh, okay. So from this item, I obtained a mixture of DNA profiles from 2 individuals was obtained from the swabs from the rear passenger door pull. And then I did do a comparison to the standards that I have.
All right, and would those have been Eric Alvarado, Jose Soto-Escalera, Mark Burke, Giovanni Alvarado, Tania Wise, and Josiah Wise?
Yes.
And I think Miss Bradley Rodriguez. What were your results?
So Eric Alvarado, he cannot be excluded as a possible contributor to this mixture. For the locations I was able to perform statistics at, the probability that a randomly chosen unrelated individual would be included as a possible contributor to this mixture is approximately 1 in 137 billion. Bradley Rodriguez, Jose Soto-Escalera, Mark Burke, Giovanni Alvarado, Tania Wise, and Baby Wise are excluded as possible contributors to this mixture.
So on the rear passenger swab, Eric Alvarado cannot be excluded, but the rest of the people that you have standards for can.
That's correct.
Next, I'd like to show you what's been entered into evidence of State's Exhibit 152, the swabbing from the front passenger headrest.
You recognize that one?
Yes, I do. So it has the Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. And did you perform an analysis on this exhibit, State's Exhibit 152?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what were the results?
Mixtures of DNA profiles from at least 3 individuals was obtained on the swabs from the front passenger headrest. Due to the complexity of this mixture, no further conclusions are possible regarding this profile.
All right. Is there ever a time where evidence that's been examined by your crime laboratory is then also sent to another lab?
It does happen occasionally, yes.
Okay, did that happen in this case?
Yes, it did.
How does that happen?
So it depends. There's different ways. For this situation, the sheriff's office wanted to have additional testing done that is not performed at the Indian River Crime Lab. So when I do my testing, that first step is called extraction. That's getting the DNA out of the cell. What's left over is like a small amount of liquid. I don't use all of that liquid. I use a portion of it, and then we retain or save that in case there's ever further testing that's needed. So this extract was given to the sheriff's office, and if they pursued further testing, they would be able to with that extract.
All right, so for some of the exhibits in this case, there were extracts that were made, or is that something you do on every single piece of evidence?
Every piece of evidence starts with the DNA process. There is an extract left over because it's extracted, so then there's an extract.
All right, so for every swab, there were extracts, but the extracts themselves can be sent to other labs if additional testing is requested by the agency.
Yes, it can.
Okay, and are you aware whether or not that was done in this case?
The only part I know is that the extract was given to the sheriff's office. I don't know what happened with it afterwards.
What I'd like to show you next is State's Exhibit
153, swabbing from the steering wheel. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
Okay, is this another item that went to your lab in reference to this case?
Yes, it did, and I can recognize it. It has the crime lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, and what were your results in reference to State's Exhibit 153, the steering wheel?
The DNA profile obtained from the swabs of the Dodge truck steering wheel was consistent with being a mixture of a major and a minor component. The male DNA profile obtained from the major component of the mixture matches the DNA profile obtained from the oral standard from Jose Soto-Escalera at 15 locations. Comparisons at the remaining 6 locations were inconclusive due to insufficient DNA quantity and/or quality. For those 15 areas, the frequency with which the major evidence DNA profile is expected to be found in an unrelated individual in the population at large is 1 in 288 quintillion, and then no comparisons are possible to the minor component of the mixture profile due to insufficient DNA quantity and/or quality.
All right, so the major contributor in this case is Jose Soto-Escalera.
His profile matches, and then this is a stat to give weight. So
Okay,
he
and
matches.
it's the number that you gave?
Yes, so what that number is what is the chance that you were to randomly select a person, an unrelated person from the population at large, and they would also happen to match? For this major profile, it's 1 in 288 quintillion.
How many zeros is quintillion?
Quintillion has 18 zeros, so it's 1 followed by 18 zeros. To get to a quintillion is a billion times a billion.
So that's a high number.
A quintillion is a large number, yes.
Now I want to show you State's Exhibit 154. You recognize this one?
Yes, I do. It has the crime lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the crime lab case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, and what were the results of your analysis on this item 154?
The DNA profile obtained from the swabs of the Dodge truck driver's door was consistent with being a mixture of a major and a minor component. The male DNA profile obtained from the major component of this mixture matches the DNA profile obtained from the oral standard from Jose Soto-Escalera at 12 locations. Comparisons at the remaining 9 locations were inconclusive due to insufficient DNA quantity and/or quality. For those 12 locations, the frequency at which the major evidence DNA profile is expected to be found in an unrelated individual in the population at large is approximately 1 in 40 quadrillion. No comparisons are possible to the minor component of this mixture profile due to insufficient DNA quantity and/or quality.
Now I want to show you what's been entered into evidence. Swabbings from top of armrest, State's Exhibit 155. You recognize that one?
Yes, I do. It
Hi.
has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, what was the results of your analysis on States 155?
This was an inclusive mixture of DNA profiles was obtained from the swabs of the driver armrest top and is not suitable for comparison to any known standards.
So based on what you saw, there's nothing you can do with that. No further testing you can do.
Yes, so this is an inconclusive mixture. There's a mixture is being DNA from more than one person, but I can't interpret and tease out the different contributors. So I can't interpret this data.
I want to show you now, entered as States 156, swabbing from the bottom of the armrest. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do. It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. And then I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
And what were the results of the examination on that one?
This also was an inconclusive mixture of DNA profiles was obtained from the swabs of the driver armrest bottom that are not suitable for comparison to any known standards.
All right. And now we'll show you what's
Been entered as States Exhibit 28, DNA swabs, driver door behind handle. Same question.
Do you recognize it? How do you recognize it?
I recognize it. It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. And then, again, I can't see, but I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials are on this package.
All right, and for states 28, what were the results of your analysis?
So from this, there was an insufficient DNA/data was obtained from the swabs of the driver door behind the handle that is not suitable for comparison to any known standards.
All right, so insufficient on this one, because the last two previous you said were inconclusive. So insufficient is there's not even enough DNA?
Yeah, so this insufficient is just, there's not enough, and it's still very complex to be able to interpret. So inconclusive, there's a little bit more data. Insufficient, there's less data, and that's why I'm not able to interpret it.
All right, and then I'd like to show you States Exhibit 157,
Driver's door panel, top edge of storage area swabbed. Do you recognize it? How do you recognize it?
I do recognize it, and it's from the Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the Crime Lab's case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
all right, what were your results for that one?
For this item, there was also insufficient DNA/data that was obtained from the swabs of the top edge of a driver door storage that is not suitable for comparison to any known standards.
All right, and then we get to States Exhibit
158, DNA swabbing from front driver seat belt. Do you recognize it? How do you recognize it?
I recognize it because it has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the Crime Lab's case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and there's my initials.
All right, and what were your results as to States Exhibit 158, the swabs from the seatbelt buckle on the driver's side?
The DNA profile obtained from the swabs from the front driver's seatbelt buckle was consistent with being a mixture of a major and minor component. The male DNA profile obtained from the major component of this mixture matches the DNA profile obtained from the oral standard from Jose Soto-Escalera at 7 locations. Comparisons at the remaining 14 locations were inconclusive due to insufficient DNA quantity and/or quality. For those 7 locations, the frequency with which the major evidence DNA profile is expected to be found in an unrelated individual in the population at large is approximately 1 in 12 billion. No comparisons are possible to the minor component of this mixture profile due to insufficient quantity and/or quality.
All right. What I'd like to ask you about now is States Exhibit 29. It's a section of carpet from the driver's side.
Of the Dodge Ram. If you can take a look at this exhibit and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, I do. It has the Crime Lab's barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then my initial, or I'm sorry, I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, now obviously in all the other exhibits you had swabs. This one is different. Is there any difference in the process of what you do?
So the main difference is for an item like this, it's a larger item, so I kind of look over it. The request was that is there the possibility of blood being on this, so I'm looking for any discoloration, not just red-brown stains, but sometimes blood can appear blackish. So I would look for any staining like that, and then I'll perform testing on presumptive testing for blood, and then possibly, if that's positive, I'll do DNA testing.
All right, so on this particular piece of evidence, did you do the chemical testing to determine whether or not there was blood?
Yes, I did.
And what were the results of that test?
The carpet tested positive chemically, indicating the presence of blood.
All right, so now that you know that you have blood, do you do DNA analysis?
Yes, I did.
All right, were you able to get any DNA evidence from that carpet?
Yes, so the DNA profile obtained from the carpet was consistent with being a mixture of a major and a minor component. The female DNA profile obtained from the major component of this mixture matches the DNA profile obtained from the blood standard from Tania Wise at all 21 locations. For those 21 locations, the frequency with which the major evidence DNA profile is expected to be found in an unrelated individual in the population at large is approximately 1 in 87 nonillion. No comparisons are possible to the minor component of the mixture profile due to insufficient DNA quantity and or quality.
Right, so when you first started testifying, I think you said you guys look for matches on all 21 loci. Is that right?
So we look at 21 areas. Those are 21 areas we amplify. When I have the data, I try to interpret as many of those areas as I can. Some of them you can't. Whether it's not enough data is present there or it's too complex. So before I look at any standards, we look and interpret our unknown evidence first. So I first look at my unknown evidence, I determine what areas could be used for comparison, and then I look at standards to compare to.
All right, so say for the one we just did, the seatbelt buckle from the driver's side, that states Exhibit 158. You received that first as an unknown, and you determine a major and a minor, and then once you have that profile, then you compare it to our standards.
That's correct.
And when you compared it on that particular item, states 158, it matched on 7 out of the 21.
There were 7 that were possible to be compared to.
Okay, and then the other 14 you could not.
Correct.
And that produced a number that the frequency was 1 in 12 billion.
Yes.
Okay, so then we go to this one, just so I can comprehend this. So on this one, it was an unknown sample that you found. First you tested it chemically for blood, then there's an unknown standard, and then you compare that to a known standard.
I tested it, I did the chemical test for blood, I did DNA analysis. I have the DNA analysis from this carpet, that's my unknown sample. I interpret the unknown data first, determine what I can interpret, and then once I've done that, then I compare it to any standards that I have.
And on this one, you indicated it matched on all 21.
Because all 21 areas were able to be resolved.
And 87 nonillion. The frequency in this one was 1 in 87 nonillion. How many zeros is a nonillion?
A nonillion is 1 followed by 30 zeros. So to get to a nonillion is 1 billion times 1 billion times 1 billion times 1,000.
All right. And for this one, the major contributor was Tania Wise.
So she matches that major component.
And is that the highest number that we've heard of since you started testifying?
Yes, I believe so.
I don't have any other questions at this time.
Cross-examination?
Very briefly. Sir, you also did a test on a condom that was found at the scene?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Soto-Escalera, Mr. Burke, Mr. Giovanni Alvarado, and Eric Alvarado's standards were excluded as contributors to the DNA on that condom. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
And you also did DNA testing on a flashlight in this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and there was a male DNA profile found on that flashlight. However, Jose Soto-Escalera was excluded as a contributor to the DNA on that flashlight. Is that accurate?
To the major component, yes.
Okay, and when we talk about DNA, it doesn't necessarily have to come from blood, correct?
Correct. So it just comes from cells.
Okay, and in fact, when we take buccal swabs, that's getting what's called an epithelial cell from the inside of your mouth, right?
Yes.
Okay, so epithelial cells meaning like skin cells, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
Any further questions from the state?
Can we approach her?
Sure.
reached the lunch hour. The lawyers have an issue to attend to that must be done outside of your presence, so we're going to take a little bit of a longer lunch, give you a longer lunch, ask you to come back at 1:45 downstairs to the jury assembly room. Please remember, avoid any extrajudicial information about the case. Don't do any research. Don't talk to anyone. Enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you at 1:45. Please leave your notes on your chairs.
And I could leave all this stuff here, or just,
What's that?
should I? Because that has to be sealed. This is, I think, the one with substitution.
That's an evidence, right?
No, the
That's-
one I have, the one I have the
Oh.
one that's in evidence. This is not going in.
Right, that's not going in. So that's like the thumb drive is right, yeah.
Should I keep it in here during the trial and just take this and have this process?
I would take all of that with you so we don't accidentally send it back to the jury. And it is gonna be sealed anyway, so it makes it easier, yeah. All right, jury has exited. And,
Just, so I've instructed the witness that we're gonna be back at 1:45.
okay, he's still on the stand, 1:45?
Still on stand at
Okay.
1:45.
All right, we'll see y'all at 1:45. Enjoy your lunch.